مساء الخير أعزائنا المشاهدين، أهلا وسهلا فيكم بحلقة جديدة من برنامج بريطانيا اليوم. ضيفنا لحلقة اليوم هو الأستاذ جيمس ميوتيمر، وهو شخص يقف لك مرشح في الانتخابات العامة لمنطقة برنت إيست عن حزب العمال الذي يتزعمه جورج جالوي. Hello, Mr. George, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Can you please starting with introducing and tell us a little bit about yourself for the Arabic audience to know you more?
Yeah, no problem. So my name's James Mutimer. I've been involved with the Workers' Party since February. So I'm standing as a candidate for the Workers' Party in Brent East. I'll be running against Dawn Butler, who has been there for over a decade with the Labour Party. I joined the Workers' Party in February because, like a lot of people, I was sick and tired of seeing the slaughter of innocents in Gaza and all over Palestine and even in southern Lebanon. I'd had enough, so I thought that if I wanted to make a change, I needed to do so by getting into politics. And I thought the best way to do that would be to join George Galloway, as he's long been a voice for the Palestinians and the Lebanese and those who have been oppressed all over the world.
Thank you very much. James, I know you said it like briefly, but I would like to understand and hear more about how do you perceive the views of other parties regarding the subject of Gaza and Palestine?
Quite frankly, I'm appalled, and I'm a bit ashamed to be a part of a country that has acted in the way it has. I don't think you can call it anything other than a genocide or ethnic cleansing. I saw some figures earlier that have put the death toll and wounded up to 130,000. The fact that we are still arming and supplying money and weapons and all sorts to Israel is astonishing, and I think it is really shameful. The fact that there has only been one political party throughout this genocide that has publicly spoken out against it has been the Workers' Party and George Galloway. Mm-hmm. There are some promising signs that people are starting to wake up and see that this is not right. However, I do think this is coming from more of a political angle rather than out of goodwill. The Liberal Democrats, for example, have been pretty much silent throughout this genocide. Mm-hmm. And it's only been in the past few weeks where they have opened up and spoken about supporting a Palestinian state.
I understand your review, and how do you plan to address this, the Palestinian issue, if you get elected?
So if I get elected and any other candidate for the Workers' Party that does get elected, it is in our manifesto that we do not follow the worldview of a two-state solution. We don't see it viable. It will not solve this conflict or genocide. Yeah. The only way that we see this being resolved is with a one-state solution, whether that be called Palestine-Israel, Israel-Palestine, and all residents or citizens that have been born in that land have equal rights and equal representation. In that way, we can stop the charade of Israeli diplomacy and the two-state solution, especially when we're having Israeli settlers from all over the world being flown in and taking Palestinian land in Gaza, in the West Bank, even in the Golan Heights in southern Lebanon. They're ever increasing their borders, and to put a stop to that, we need a one-state solution, in my mind.
Yeah, great. Can you tell me what inspired you to become a member of Parliament?
Yeah, so I've long wanted to be part of British politics. However, I've never really wanted to put myself in the limelight. It's not who I am. I'm not one of those people that sort of chases a career in politics like a lot of members of Parliament now. However, the way that we are going as a country is really worrisome, and that's across the board. That is not just our foreign policy in Gaza, in Palestine, and in the Middle East as a whole. It is when we look closer to home, we can see that crime rates are soaring. Poverty rates, I believe, in London are the highest in 40 years. Social housing is a mess. Education is a mess. Healthcare is a mess. No political party is willing to put their neck on the line and actually come up with solutions to solve these issues.
Yeah.
I find that baffling, and it was a reason that I felt compelled to join George and the Workers' Party to try and change that and actually bring some good back into British politics, try and regain some trust. And that can only be done by breaking up the uniparty system that we do have in the UK. At the moment, we have a Conservative government that is leaving. Those seats are going to be taken by a Labour MP. The policies are worryingly similar. Nothing is really going to change. It's only recently Keir Starmer has said that he will look to end austerity, which has crippled the UK economy, it's crippled UK services.
Sure.
But I don't trust that. It was only a few weeks ago he said that he doesn't feel that we can end austerity, and it's only because of the backlash from the public that he has reversed that decision. And for me, there's too much flip-flopping regarding policies with these main parties. It takes someone like the Workers' Party, in my mind, to come in and really disrupt British politics and actually make them care for the people. And I mean people as a whole, no matter how wealthy they are, what the background is, what their ethnicity is. We need to look after the people of this country. And unfortunately, as it stands, that isn't happening now.
True. What steps will you take to assist working class families in Brent East?
So the way we're structuring it in our manifesto is a big focus on helping families out where it's needed most. So essentially that is in their pockets. We are looking to up the personal tax allowance from the 12,000 mark up to the 22,000 mark. We see that as vital. I
like that one myself.
Yeah, I just don't see it as fair that anyone earning below £22,000 paying tax. It's not fair. These people are really struggling and they need all the help they can get.
True.
And again, small businesses, it feeds into that also, especially in Brent. We've got Wembley Park, which has been sold off and occupied by large corporations with very, very favoursome rates to these corporations, while small businesses are struggling. I know that in Brent East, some small businesses are exempt from business rates, but that's only some. Again, I don't think that's fair, especially with how much these people are struggling. So I think for people to get jobs, especially, we need to get small businesses going, and that can be done by reducing business rates. It gets more people into work, and they're helped by increasing that personal income tax allowance.
Nice. In terms, you told me before that you grew up in a working class family. How did that shape your views today? Yeah,
so my background is a little bit unique in the sense that I grew up in a very wealthy town. I'm from Harrogate in North Yorkshire. It's a predominantly conservative town. There's a lot of money there. And in my early life, my family started to lose money quite rapidly, and it quickly shaped how I perceived things. And when you grow up in a town like that, where it is always a competition to look the best and be the best, when you financially really struggle, and you see my mother struggling the way she did, she worked in a bar on an evening whilst doing a full-time uni course. And my grandmother was working full time, and they had to juggle the plates to bring me up, and really struggled to do so. My mum used working tax credits to do that as well. It shaped me in a way that we really need to help people that are vulnerable and people that do need the help of the state. Because a lot of people do look at poorer families and think that they're a burden. I really, really don't feel comfortable with that, because the most hardworking people tend to be the working class families that are struggling to put to make ends meet. And again, it's a reason why I love the Workers' Party so much, is because it does really look out for that working class. And the working class have not had a voice for a very long time now, and we're wanting to bring that back and actually give them some reassurance that there are people in politics that are really willing to help them.
That's nice. In terms of education, you have mentioned also that you had to leave school at 16.
Yeah.
How did that influence your thoughts on education today?
So I think the education system as a whole, I can't fault teachers. They work really, really hard, and they work with the best. They do the best with the conditions that they are in.
Yeah.
I do think there needs to be more opportunities for people that aren't academically strong, and whether that be more time to get into university, more help to get into university, or more help to get into college, into apprenticeships. I think we really need to focus on that and make it a much fairer education system. And that starts with putting more money into education. And one thing I really don't like at the moment is schools being turned into academies. So in Brent, for example, as a whole, not just Brent East, the council's goal is to make 100% of the schools in Brent academies by 2030. The reason I don't feel comfortable with that is the fact that academies are funded by local government. However, the local government has no say on how that money is spent. They have no say on what the curriculum is within these schools. So there is no governance there at all. It's been put into private hands. And we've seen throughout the UK, whether that be in utilities, in water, for example, with Thames Water and how that's been run. As soon as these national interests get put into the hands of private companies, we can chuck the NHS in there as well. Things start to crumble. And I would really like a really strong review into the process of schooling and them being turned into academies. And more focus on putting the money where it's needed most, not into private hands.
Yeah, mentioning the healthcare, how would you intend to tackle critical issues in the UK, such as healthcare, housing, unemployment?
It's all funding. All of these services require more funding.
Yeah.
As a party, in our manifesto, we talk about this funding coming from stopping the funding of foreign wars. The billions that we send every year is being sent to slaughter innocent people.
Yeah.
That has to stop. We are not a party that supports any of that. We want to put that money back into communities, putting police on the streets, putting that money into education, healthcare, social housing. But moreover, we will be looking to nationalise utilities. Okay. So I don't like the concept of estates' resources being managed and being basically exploited by private companies. I see these as state assets, and the profits these generate should be put into the profits they generate should be put back into the UK economy, put back into communities. That way we can reduce taxes on the working class, increase these personal tax thresholds, and actually go after the people that haven't been taxed for a very long time. So we talk about large corporations that have pretty much completely bypassed corporation tax. Yeah. But we've continued to go after the most vulnerable, these small businesses, and attack those. That's wrong. So I think we really need to be strong and tackle that and really support the most vulnerable in society.
Brilliant. Can you explain how your work in wealth management align with your ESG principles?
Yeah, so I started in wealth management. I basically, the qualifications that I did to get into that, I was self-taught. I paid for them myself. It wasn't anything that was sort of handed to me. I was put in there after university. I didn't have a university degree. I left school at 16 because my family couldn't support me in education. So I had to work my way through that and get to that level. I'm very thankful for that experience within wealth management because it opened me up to a world that I wasn't aware of. And it opened me up to ESG principles. So ESG, or environmental social governance principles, are basically all set out to invest in areas that it is required most. So mostly those are green principles. The problem that we have in the investment world is it is a very, very opaque system. So a lot of people see this as a marketing tool for big banks to make more money.
Yeah.
And that is true to an extent. So I know that you mentioned that I'm involved in a startup that is looking to increase the transparency transparency of ESG and to build that trust within the we call them retail clients. That's individual investors like me or you.
Okay.
And build that trust in the ESG space so they can feel comfortable investing in green initiatives. And I think for us to ever reach a point where we can talk about truly getting to net zero, rather than being employed to reappropriate wealth to the elite, which is what is being done now, we need to increase that transparency and that trust with the working people to see that actually where their money is going is to a good cause. We are in our manifesto talking about having a referendum on net zero and how we achieve that. I completely agree, because the way that we are managing this money now, we have no idea where this is going. And that is a serious issue. So the mistrust there, especially in the banks from the working people, especially after the financial crisis, is palpable. It's there. We need to do all we can to increase that trust and actually push towards net zero goals. There are real issues here. We want to scrap ULEZ, for example, as a party, because it is punishing the working class. We also need initiatives, and we need to back initiatives to reduce pollution in London, because it is a serious problem.
Yeah,
we really struggle with that. So rather than talking about a blanket ban on ULEZ, we need to look into initiatives that don't punish the working class, but actually work in the interests of the people. So whether that be in a very unique carbon capture project, or trying to reduce the number of petrol cars, or not so much petrol cars, but any heavy polluters, because we've targeted petrol and diesel cars in London, but we also have hundreds of flights a day dropping pollution all over our heads. So the number of people that ULEZ affected is not proportionate to the problems that are being caused by, let's say, commercial flights or haulage or anything like that. So we just need to look into these problems rather than punishing the people that are most vulnerable. We do need to look into, in my mind, innovative solutions to help people.
True. I really like your perspectives, and you have lovely ideas that even us as a normal people wouldn't even think about much on everyday life. So hearing them from you would open our eyes to these new views. Now, through our Arab London, let's say, window today, people who's listening to you today are Arabs and Muslims. What's the message that you would like to tell the Arabic community to encourage them to vote for you today?
Yeah, so what I would say is, I think the Arab and Muslim community has been let down for a long time. I think what we've seen in the last few years, especially in Parliament, with the way that Labour MPs, Conservative MPs across the board have spoken about the Muslim community, and the Islamophobia that has risen within Parliament is disgraceful.
It is.
And the Muslim community has been probably the most targeted over the last 20 years, and no one's spoken up for them apart from George Galloway.
Yeah.
And when I go around the Muslim community now, no one knows who I am, and that's fair enough. As soon as I show a picture of George, or I mention George's name, I'm welcomed with open arms. I would like to replicate that, and I would love to sort of take the mantle from George maybe one day and be a representative for a community that has been completely let down. And I think it needs a voice, and I think it needs someone, a party, to protect them and to sort of help them in the communities. And yeah, I think the support is just not there now. And I think all the talk of all the putting down of the Muslim community at the moment is just dangerous. And I think we've seen it in our reaction to Gaza. I think that has really shown Parliament's view on the Muslim community and Arab community as a whole. There is no respect there. There is no protection for them, and I think that's wrong. And I would really like to have the opportunity to put that right and be the voice for the Muslim community.
That's lovely. Thank you very much for being with us today. I don't know if you have anything to add at the end of our interview today for people who's listening.
No, so what I would like to say is that the Workers' Party are not well known. George Galloway is very well known, and rightly so. But what we need is the word of the Workers' Party to get out there.
Yeah.
We are not backed by billionaires. We're not backed by big business. We are membership backed, and we are backed by crowdfunding, which is why you may not know about us so much. On a canvassing level, this is a question that I received yesterday. The canvassing has been really tough because the election was called so quickly. We didn't have the opportunity to put the wheels in motion in that sense to really get our name out there and really sort of hit the election campaign hard. So if you liked what I said today and you back George Galloway and the Workers' Party, all I ask is that you tell everybody about us, your friends, your family, and just try and get the word out there that we are here. We are a strong opposition to the established parties in Parliament, and we really stand by our principles that are within our manifesto. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the luck with your startup and with your election. I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Take care.